All right. Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Blues Deluxe. My pleasure to have Brody Buster with me today. Hello, Brody. And let's start off with I can't believe you started at a very, very early age playing harmonica. How did you end up? How did that happen? You
I got a harmonica from my mom originally. She played in blues bands around Kansas City with Sonny Kenner and Cotton Candy. And she gave me a harmonica around age 7, and I was playing at the Levee with her and at Harlings with her around age 8.
Wow.
Yeah, I kind of just naturally fell into it.
And then I saw that picture with you and BB King, and you sitting there playing harmonica with him. That's pretty
Yeah, I
cool.
played with BB a few times.
What was that like for a 7 or 8 year old?
Well, I mean, it only got cooler as time went on. I played with them when I was very young, and then the last time I played with them, I was around age 21. So I'd known BB a good chunk of my life, and just a very kind person, and he always did everything he could for me.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, no, yeah, one of a kind for sure.
So as time went on, you got a little bit older. How did that? What did you end up doing? I know you were playing. You weren't playing in clubs at that age. I'm guessing.
No, I played in clubs a lot. I had a work permit as a child, so I was allowed to be in bars. And I played music, blues music, up until I was probably around age 18 or 19. And then I stopped playing blues, and I was playing bluegrass, and I was playing some metal and some other stuff with other bands. And then around age 25, I kind of quit playing music, and I got wrapped up into drugs really bad. And about 2 years ago, I got sober. And within this last year and a half, I've really gotten playing music again. And I'm playing about 250 shows this year. And I just recorded a new album, Redemption.
Yeah, it came out last month, right?
Yeah, on Easter Sunday.
Yep, that's great. It's called Redemption. It probably talks about your road to where you are now.
Yeah, there's songs on the record that talk about where I'm at in my life. And um I wanted to do a record, and I wanted to get the ball rolling again. And I found some cats in Kansas City that I liked working with, and I showed them the songs, and they were like, "These are great songs. Let's do this." So we recorded the record, and now we're out here playing shows in support of it.
And you're not just a harmonica player. I see you're a multi-instrumentalist too.
Yeah, I do a lot of guitar playing on the record, all the leads, and obviously I write the music on the guitar. I started on the harmonica, and I got into the guitar around age 12 or 13 is when I started getting into it.
And that's not the only thing. You play other things too.
I do a one-man band, and my last two records before Redemption were both one-man band records. And on the one-man band, I'm doing guitar, drums, harmonica, vocal, and everything all at one time.
I was fascinated when I'm looking at your bio. There's three different versions of what you can do. You're very versatile when it comes to gigs. You got you got the one man band, then you got Brody Buster and Company, and then Brody Buster and the Redemptions. I mean, all kinds of ways of
Well,
going
yeah,
out.
I did that out of necessity. The one-man band started um, around the time I had my first kid, because I was looking for a way to make money on the weeknights. And I started doing the one man band at this place called the Westport Saloon every Monday night, and I built it out of there. And the one man band, it's been great for me. It keeps me working, and obviously I like playing with other musicians better. But you're right, I'm very versatile. I can gig anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You have a way of gigging no matter what. You can do it yourself. You can
Yeah,
do it
and
as
that's how I've been able to play 250 shows, coming right back into it, and be able to make a living doing this. I have to diversify myself.
so. But Brody Buster and Company. How many people are in that band or group?
That's usually a trio setup. So
Yep,
me, a drummer, and a bass player
that's what
for
I
like
thought.
a trio size gig. and then
Full band.
Brody, the Redemption's a 5-piece,
Yep.
sometimes even a 6-piece.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Same drummer and bass player go with me between both things. And then, we add a keyboard and another guitar player for the Redemption.
so one man band. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
You competed in the IBCs with one man band.
Yeah. In 2017, I went to the IBC for Kansas City Blues Society in the solo duo category. And I placed second uh, overall one-man band. And I got the Best Harmonica Award that year as well. And that kind of gave me a nice little boost there for my one-man band. And I rode that until COVID hit. And then when COVID hit, it stopped everything. And that's when I really started getting into drugs real bad as well.
And now you're out. You're off it. You're off all that stuff, I take it.
Yeah, got 2 weeks shy of 2 years. And, I was wrapped up in meth and heroin real bad. And, basically, if I wouldn't have stopped, I wouldn't be here probably.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
It's not
Thank you.
easy. That's not easy to do.
It's not. And, without music, I don't think I would have been able to do it. I look at other people trying to do it or that do it and they don't have something like music. And I wonder how they do it.
Yep. So tell me some things you've learned from some of the elder blues musicians you've worked with over the years. Some of the things you've learned from them.
Well, obviously, like playing wise, style wise, watching cats that I've, one major influence on me was Eugene Smiley. I played with him for years and years and years when I was a kid. He was a guitar player here in Kansas City. And, I learned how to play music from him. So I'd say I modeled my whole style after Eugene Smiley. And, along the way, there was life lessons, that they attempted to show me. But, just like any kid, I didn't listen.
And,
yeah, but I wouldn't trade any of it for the world. I love the life I have, and I love the experiences I've had playing with music, and good or bad, I'm still here and thankful for it.
Harmonica playing. Anybody give you tips?
Well, my mom showed me the basics, and she's more of a folky type player. She doesn't really play a lot of blues anymore, so it's a completely different style of harmonica. Lee Oscar kind of took me under his wing when I was younger, and he definitely showed me a lot, and you can hear it in my playing for sure. So and like the old school cats, I like to listen to Little Walter. He was one of my favorites growing up. And Rod Piazza, that guy's killer. James Harmon, that guy's killer. More modern guys that are doing it. Jason Ritchie, he's a great player.
Yep.
He's taken the harmonica and done something completely different with it, which, that's great. And the thing about the harmonica is, it is a very limited instrument, but you can make it your own. And, I feel that my playing's gotten to the point where when you hear me play, that's me, just like when you hear Lee Oscar play, that's him.
Yeah, you mentioned a whole bunch of great guys over the years that have been out there playing. William Clark.
Yeah,
William
Clark I had the pleasure
is
of
another
playing
one.
with even James Cotton when I was young. That guy was a monster. James Cotton was a beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, all the other harmonica play, like you said, Jason's great. The guy from England I like is Will Wild.
I haven't checked out much of his stuff, but I know who he is, and I know he just put out a new record. So I'm gonna give it a listen. But yeah, I've seen some videos and stuff, and he's definitely a skilled player.
Yeah, he and Jason are buddies. There's a video of both of them together somewhere.
And I'll get more into that. I'm gonna start posting videos to these. I've done a few, but I need to get more active with that stuff and get into these harmonica appreciation circles. Because there's people that like the blues, and then there's a whole nother group of people that like the harmonica.
So one man band, do you write music for the one man band, or you just do covers?
Yeah, I write music for both setups. I mean, I have songs that I play in the one man band that I don't play in the band, and I have and vice versa. But I have probably 15 songs or so that I've written that I cross between the two, but they're very different versions of each other based on what I can do.
Yeah. That's pretty cool that you can play all those instruments and just be by yourself. And it
Yeah, I
works. And
mean,
it
there's
works.
definite upsides to it. You know, the low overhead, it's easy to travel, but you do get lonely. And, you know, I love the one man band, but, you know, I think ultimately music is about connecting with other people and, and not even the crowd, like on stage, playing with the other players. I really enjoy feeding off their energy.
That's good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about all the people don't realize you have a whole bunch of records that you've put out over the years.
I have, you know, I mean, I started putting records out when I was a kid. I don't remember how old I was, but the first one I did was I Come to Play, and it was before CDs were even made, so it was on tape. I did Blue Devil, Clear in the Smoke, Will Die Young, the one man band records, and
Yep.
then this is my newest record, Redemption. So I guess it's around 8 or 9 records.
Yeah. Tell me about Redemption, the new record.
This record means a lot to me, and in my opinion, it's probably the best thing I've ever put out. You know, the albums I did before, I kind of just were set up in a room and recorded them straight live, you know, and we did that for the most part on this, but we really took our time on this and made sure the parts were right. And, you know, this was the first record I did where we went in and rehearsed before we went to the studio. Um, and I really put a lot of thought into the lyrics. And, you know, and also this is the first record I've done, you know, besides the ones when I was a little kid where my brain wasn't fogged by substances. So, you know, it came out very good, and I'm super happy with it, and it's getting good reviews, and it's doing good for me, and I'm really proud of it.
So tonight, are you in South Dakota? I saw your schedule.
Yeah, I'm currently in South Dakota in Deadwood. We're playing at this place called Saloon Number 10 for a whole week, 6 days. We play Tuesday through Sunday night here. And they give you a band house, and it's a pretty good time.
That's good.
There's
That,
some beer festival going on here this week or something. I don't know.
so tell me about the Kansas City music scene. You're from that area.
Yeah, it's very vibrant, and it's a great scene, and it's got some, you know, I've been around, you know, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I'd say some of the best players around are in Kansas City, man. There's just a great pool of blues, jazz, uh, bluegrass is really good scene here for that too. Um, and everybody in the Kansas City music scene is helping each other out. You know, like I'll record on their records, they'll record on my records. We'll get together and collaborate. You know, Danielle Nicole,
Yep.
she's a very big artist. She's from Kansas City.
Yep.
She came in and did background vocals on my record. Didn't charge me a dime. You know, just wanted to help. And that's the beautiful thing about the Kansas City music scene, in my opinion, is that you know they've really helped me out a lot. I burned a lot of bridges when I was on drugs and burnt a lot of bridges with clubs. And it took these musicians in Kansas City vouching for me at these places to get back in the door. And so, you know, they put their neck out on the line for me, and they've really helped me out a ton. I couldn't be more thankful for them. The whole scene in Kansas
Well,
City.
that says a lot right there. What you just said. All the people that have helped you out, even though you were down and out, they still
Yeah,
came, they stepped up. All of them.
yeah, and you know, and they also did me a favor when I wouldn't change myself. They wouldn't work with me. You know, they wouldn't work with me if I wasn't on my A game, and so I had to become a better version of myself, and it's paid off, and I've got, you know, a lot to show for it.
Well, there's a lot. I know a lot of Kansas City blues folks that play in that area, and it's like, I mean, Samantha Fish and
Nick
Danielle.
Stablade. I
Yep,
mean, there's a bunch
Nick.
of them.
Yep, lots of
Yeah.
them. And
No, the
then
whole scene's very, very vibrant.
the
I
same.
will say there is a shortage of bass players in Kansas City. If you're a bass player looking for work, move to Kansas City.
You got plenty of drummers. Yep.
there's a there's a there's a ton of good drummers, and there's a ton of good guitar players. Howard Mahan out of Kansas City. I don't know if you've heard of him yet, but he's real good guitar player out of here.
That's good. I know
Yeah,
Nick.
yeah,
I've got Nick's records. I like his, and Danielle's records are great too.
yeah. You should check out Howard's. He just put one out. It's called Hope on Credit. Man, check it out. It's a great record.
I'll check it out. and
Yeah.
Samantha Fish is from that area. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people. You talk about that's a great scene.
Yeah, I think there's something in the water here. I'm serious, and me and Nick and Danielle, we've known each other our whole lives. Really, we
Yeah,
were playing the scene when we were all kids. Their parents were in bands too, and so was my mom. So, I've been crossing paths with Danielle and Nick my whole life.
that's great, and that's great. She
Yeah.
helped you out with some vocal
Oh yeah,
things.
she's helped me out, and she's kind of guided me and sharing information and helping me out.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm really thankful for her and her brother and all the guys in my band. Everybody is just I'm working with the people that I want to work with, and I couldn't be happier about it.
So you just touring United States, or have you been over to Europe?
I have not been over to Europe. I went over to Europe, or I went over to Ireland as the one man band, but I went over there to visit my mom, and she plays music over there. So she did book me up, 4 or 5 shows at places she plays over there. So I went over there to do that. But I have not been to Europe. The only out of the country thing I've really done was I did the Montreal Jazz Fest there in Canada, like in 2019, and that was super cool. I did a couple festivals up there in Canada, but I would really like to get into Europe. That's my next goal.
Next step.
Yeah, another record in Europe.
There you go.
I'd love to get over there. If you know anybody that can help me out, let me know.
Well, I can tell you, Danielle can help you out. She knows all the
She can.
connections. Huh?
Yeah, she can. And it's all a timing thing. And it's, I had to get my stuff together. I didn't have a website. I didn't have anything. But now I've got everything going on. And timing's right. And it's time to start knocking on some
Well,
doors.
make the most of it, as they say, now that you have it all.
Yeah. And don't let the ball stop rolling.
Right.
I got to put out another record within a year, to keep this thing going.
So, where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years?
Hopefully I've got another record or two under my belt, and I'm touring bigger stages, and I'm still doing what I'm doing. I'm happy with where I'm at right now, and I just hope nothing gets in the way of what I'm doing, and I can keep this ball rolling. So in 5 years, I hope I'm doing this, but I hope I'm the 9 p.m. slot at the festival instead of the 4 o'clock slot. You know what I mean?
At the 4 o'clock slot.
You know what I
Hey,
mean?
you got to start somewhere, as they say.
Oh man, and I'm thankful for the 4 o'clock slot. I
Yep.
love it. And
Yep.
I'm working my way up that ladder.
You'll get it. Don't worry. I
Hey,
mean,
thank you, sir.
I mean, going to the IBCs and coming in second. Not many people can do that.
Well, yeah, and it was my first time ever entering too. A lot of people enter multiple times before they even get to that. So I entered one time, made it to second, and got best harmonica player. And I, unfortunately dropped that ball that I had rolling from that. And after that's when I spiraled into the drug use and everything got out of control. And this time I'm not going to drop the ball.
No, you have it now. You have like you said, you have everything in place now. You just have to make it happen.
Yeah, and I did before, but I wasn't smart enough to keep it going. I went through I went through the drug thing, and at the same time, I went through a bad breakup, divorce, and at the same time, my oldest brother, had committed suicide, and all these things just
All at
weighed me
once.
down, and I couldn't get out of it, man.
All at once. Yep.
Yeah, couldn't get out of it, and COVID, and that at the same time that took away all my work, so I was sitting there in a dark place with nothing to do, and that's not a good combination.
Well, you came out of it. That's all that matters.
And the only way I did was music, family, and friends. That's the only way it was possible.
So, tell me about you have the three ways of performing. How often do you perform with the trio? How often do you perform with the full band and then the one man band? How often does that happen?
Well, recently I've been doing a lot of band stuff because the record came out, but I've also got some one man band runs coming up. Like I'm doing the Durango Blues Train as a one man band. That's here in a couple weeks. Um, I'd say between the full band and the one man band, it's about 50-50. And the trio thing, it's kind of phasing itself out because the money's getting better. The trio thing was out of necessity, you know. So now when people hit me up, I can pay a band, and so I don't take as many trio gigs as I do, but there's a couple spots around Kansas City I still do as a trio here and there.
Well, that's interesting you say that. You can get paid as a full band. You would think you get paid pretty good as a trio versus a full band.
Well, you know you think, but the, you know it's there's a money thing. It's like they got enough money for the one man band, or they got enough for the whole band. You know, at this point, there's and I try to pay everybody good. So I can work within their budget. I can always work within someone's budget. You know, I got 5 people, 3 people, or just
Yeah,
me.
you've got it. You've got it covered all the way around.
Yeah, and the difference between the trio and the full band is there's a big difference. With when I'm in the trio, I got to do so much. I got to sing, play all the solos, play all the harmonica, and bounce back and forth a ton. So when you add the keyboard player and the other guitar player,
It
it really fills
gives
it
you a
out.
break. It gives you a break.
Well, and time to focus on what I'm doing instead
Right.
of jumping from one thing to the next. When I got the whole band there, my solos planned out in my head, as to where the trio, it's too much. It's almost too much. But it can be done, and I do it quite frequently. But I'd say that the trio is a way more raw sound than the 5 piece.
Tell me a BB King story since you've worked with him a little bit, even as a kid. Tell me a story about him.
Um, when I was in the house band at BB King's Hollywood. Uh, I would play the matinee show there every Friday and Saturday, and then I would go over to their bar next door, Lucille's, and play the rest of the night. And that was how I was able to live in California for a while. And when that changed, they sold. The BB King sold off to another company or whatever. Anyways, at that point, they let everybody go. And I was at a young age and I didn't understand that they were just leasing his name or whatever. But BB King sat me down and told me, that it wasn't him letting me go. He had nothing to do with it. And I don't know, for some reason, I've always remembered that moment with him. Because, I was upset that I was losing my gig, and I don't know. He just made it seem like, there was bigger and better things for me to do anyway. And it was just a stepping stone anyway. I don't know why, but I always remember that moment. And another thing I always remember about him is that he really liked pork rinds. He liked pork rinds a lot, and he traveled with a doctor, so he wasn't supposed to have them. But he was always the most gracious guy ever.
Yeah.
Uh, he was quoted as saying that I was one of the greatest harmonica players of our time, despite my age, and that was when I was like maybe 12 or 13. And he knew what he did for me when he said that. That's having BB King say that about you is something I can
Speaks
put on my.
volume to everybody.
Yeah, it's like it's it's like someone handing you the wheel. So he was always the nicest guy on the
Well,
planet. And
that's a that picture is fabulous on your website of you sitting there with him as a kid with your harmonica. It was like I'm looking at the picture, going, "Wow, look at that."
yeah, I mean he did a lot for me, and I could never be more thankful for it. And and I hope his name lives on forever and ever, and I'm sure it will.
It will. Did you ever get on a tour with him? Ever play on the same stage?
No, I never did tours with him. The times I got to play with him were normally at his club because I was there working, and he would do so many shows there a year or whatever, and that's normally when I'd get to play with him. I got to open up for him with my band here in Kansas City at the Uptown Theater on his 80th anniversary tour.
Wow.
And that was the last time I saw him, and I was in my 20s.
Incredible. That's a great story.
Yeah, and well, I did the grand opening of the California club he had. That was a real big one. He pulled me up on stage for that, and Mavis Staples was up there singing. Little Jimmy King was there. Rufus Thomas, Sam Moore. I mean, everybody was there, and he pulled me right up there with them, and just
It must have
yeah.
made
And
you
at the
feel
time, I was
great.
so little, I didn't really realize what was going on. It took me a long time to grasp how amazing that was.
Yeah, thinking about it today, it must be a whole different feeling. Thinking about
Oh, for sure. I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't know nothing else. I jumped right into it, and that's what I was doing.
yeah,
And how is a 12-year-old kid supposed to understand the magnitude of a guy like BB King?
right. But you
I'm
do
just
now.
now
Now you
I'm just
do.
now grasping it. Yeah. It took me a long time. I'm 40 years, but I'm finally starting to grasp everything.
So tell me how people can find out about you.
They can find out about me, BrodyBusterMusic.com, Brody Buster Music on Facebook, all the normal spots. Our album is on Spotify. Um, Type my name in on Google. You can find me. And, send me a message. If you really need to get a hold of me, I'll shoot you my phone number. I'm easy to get a hold of.
Well, I got another question I forgot to ask you. Tell me about the Bluesbusters. That's another band that you were part of.
Yeah, that was the band that I was formed for me when I was the house band in California at BB King's Club. I was taken to LA as part of the whole setup there at BB King's. I met a drummer named Sharon Moore who was in the gospel brunch band at BB King's. He found me Jerry Chambers and Vince LeBeau, and they were the guitar player and the bass player for that band. And so basically that band was formed to be the house band there at BB King's on Friday and Saturday evenings. And I still keep in touch with Sharon Moore, the drummer. He's been a lifelong friend of mine, and I hope to see him again as soon as I get to California. But great group of musicians. Sharon played for all sorts of different acts, and he's got a show he does called the Extraordinary Drummer Show. If you get a chance, check it out. But yeah, great guy, great group of people.
And you're on Facebook and Instagram and all those other things too, right?
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff.
So that's great. People can find you anywhere if they want, and they can. Where can they buy your new record?
They can buy it off the website, and and you can, yeah, that's really the only place you can buy it. But you can hear it anywhere on all the platforms.
So is that BrodyBuster.com?
BrodyBusterMusic.com, and we have vinyl and all that stuff. The vinyl should be here in about a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
You said it right. I'm all set up now. I'm ready to go. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, and I must add that I couldn't have done it without the help of my better half, Tania. She does the website and handled all that stuff, and there's no way I could have done it without her.
And shout out to all the Kansas City musicians that have been there for you all these years. That's great.
Yes, for sure. Major shout out.
All right. Brody, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking some time. I'm going to broadcast this weekend around 5 o'clock on my
Okay.
show. You can listen if you're not if you're well, you're going to be probably playing anyway somewhere.
Yeah, I'll be playing around. Well, it's at 5 o'clock.
Five
I don't
o'clock
play till
Eastern.
9 o'clock, so I might be able to check it out.
5 o'clock Eastern. www.wuml.org. And then I'm
Okay.
gonna play some songs from Redemption right around the interview.
I appreciate you very much, sir.
All right.
Thank you very much, and I hope to meet you in person one day.
If you ever come up to Massachusetts area, come in the studio and play in my studio. I have a live studio.
I'm working on it.
Maybe when we can do one man band if you're there. We'll have you come in and do it all.
For sure. I always travel with everything, so got it with me. So I'm always down to do it whenever, wherever.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Very nice to meet you, sir.
Same here. Have a great day and good luck on your little tour there in South Dakota in the next few days.
We'll be trucking it.
All right. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. We'll see you.
See ya.